I was never good enough for my parents. Then I became someone else's priority. The envelope sat on my kitchen counter for 3 days before I could bring myself to open it. Stanford University. A full scholarship. The culmination of 4 years of relentless work, sleepless nights, and sacrificed weekends. I called my parents immediately. "Mom, I got in. Full ride to Stanford." My voice trembled with excitement. "That's nice, Emma," she replied, her tone flat. "Your father's watching a game. I'll tell him later." I stood in my apartment, phone pressed against my ear, waiting for more. "Congratulations? Pride? Anything?" "Well, don't forget about Sunday dinner," she continued. "Melissa's bringing her new boyfriend. He's pre-med at Northwestern." Melissa. My younger sister. The golden child. "Right," I managed. "See you Sunday." I hung up and stared at my reflection in the microwave door. Same brown eyes. Same wavy hair. Same invisible daughter. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed with notifications. My mother had posted on Facebook, "So proud of our Melissa. Her new boyfriend is studying medicine at Northwestern. #proudmom #future doctor." Nothing about Stanford. Nothing about me. Sunday dinner was excruciating. "Pass the potatoes, James," my mother cooed to Melissa's boyfriend, a bland-looking guy with perfect teeth and a Northwestern sweatshirt. "Tell us more about your research position." I stabbed at my chicken. "I'm starting at Stanford in the fall. Professor Rivera wants me on her research team. She's a Pulitzer finalist." My father grunted. My mother smiled tightly. "That's wonderful, sweetie," she said, not meeting my eyes. "James, did you mention you played lacrosse?" The conversation flowed around me like I was a rock in a stream. Invisible. Irrelevant. When dessert arrived, my father cleared his throat. "We have some news. We're taking Melissa and James to Cancun next month. A little celebration for her making Dean's List." My sister had barely managed a 3.2 GPA at our state university. I had graduated high school as valedictorian with a 4.0. When I made Dean's List, I said carefully, "You told me that was the minimum expectation." The table fell silent. "Don't be dramatic, Emma," my mother finally said. "Melissa works very hard." I set down my fork. "I've never been good enough for you, have I?" My father's face darkened. "That's enough. We've supported you plenty." "Like when?" I challenged, years of resentment bubbling up. "When you missed my graduation speech to attend Melissa's soccer game? Or when you forgot to come to my art exhibition but drove 6 hours to see her dance recital?" "You've always been so independent," my mother said defensively. "Melissa needs more encouragement." "Independent?" I laughed bitterly. "I had to be. You never showed up." I stood, grabbed my bag, and walked out. Nobody called after me. 3 days later, I was in the university library, trying to lose myself in research, when my phone vibrated. Unknown number. "Hello? Is this Emma Chen?" A woman's brisk voice. "Yes? This is Dr. Sarah Keller from Horizon Medical Research. I read your paper on cellular regeneration. Impressive work, especially for an undergraduate. We have a summer position open. Interested?" My heart raced. "Absolutely. Great. It starts Monday. I'll email details." I hung up, stunned. Horizon was cutting edge. Prestigious. Life-changing. Without thinking, I called my mother. "Mom, you won't believe it. Horizon Medical just offered me a position." "That's nice, dear," she replied distractedly. "Melissa just got an internship at the local hospital. Your father's taking us all out to Marcello's tonight to celebrate." Marcello's. The fancy Italian place they said was too expensive when I got my scholarship. "Of course he is," I said quietly. "You're welcome to join us." "I can't. I have to prepare for my new job." I ended the call before she could respond. Horizon Medical occupied a sleek building overlooking Lake Michigan. The security guard checked my ID, handed me a badge, and directed me to the 14th floor. Dr. Keller met me at the elevator, a tall woman with silver-streaked hair and intense eyes. Emma. Welcome. She extended her hand. Let me introduce you to the team. The laboratory buzzed with activity. Researchers hunched over microscopes, analyzed data on large screens, and conferred in small groups. Dr. Keller led me to a workspace near the windows. This is yours, she said. I've assigned you to work with Dr. Park. He's brilliant but demanding. Dr. Park turned out to be a compact man with round glasses and a serious demeanor. He barely looked up from his microscope when Dr. Keller introduced us. She's read all your papers, Dr. Keller told him. Even the one in Korean. That got his attention. He peered at me over his glasses. You read Korean? I taught myself, I admitted. Your research was worth it. He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. We'll start immediately. By lunchtime, my head was spinning with information. Dr. Park moved fast, expected me to keep up, and showed no patience for mistakes. But unlike my parents, when I did something right, he acknowledged it immediately. Good observation, he said when I noticed an anomaly in a cell culture. Most people miss that. At the end of the day, Dr. Keller stopped by. How was your first day? Overwhelming, I admitted. But amazing. She smiled. Dr. Park requested you specifically. He doesn't do that often. He did? Why? Your paper. He said it showed unusual insight. She tilted her head. You seemed surprised when I called you. Didn't your professors tell you how exceptional your work is? I shrugged. My family isn't exactly the encouraging type. Well, she said firmly, here, excellence is both expected and recognized. See you tomorrow. That night, I lay awake, replaying her words. Excellence is both expected and recognized. It felt like a revelation, the possibility of high standards without the constant feeling of falling short. 2 weeks into my position at Horizon, I was staying late, analyzing data, when Dr. Park appeared at my desk. Still here? He asked, setting down a cup of coffee beside me. Just finishing up, I said, surprised by the gesture. He nodded toward my screen. You found something. It wasn't a question. I'd been staring at the same dataset for hours, trying to make sense of an inconsistency. I think so, I admitted. The protein expression doesn't match the predicted pattern. It's almost like what? He prompted when I hesitated. Like it's responding to something we haven't identified yet. He smiled, the first time I'd seen him do so. That's exactly right. Most researchers would try to force the data to fit the hypothesis. That seems dishonest. It is. Yet it happens all the time. He sat down beside me. Show me what else you've found. We worked side by side until midnight, talking through theories, testing ideas. It felt exhilarating to be taken seriously, to have my thoughts valued. As we were leaving, he said, you should present this at the team meeting tomorrow. Panic flashed through me. Me? But I've only been here 2 weeks. And you've already contributed more than some who've been here 2 years. He looked at me curiously. You don't see it, do you? See what? How good you are at this. The following evening, my phone rang as I was leaving the lab. My sister. Emma? Where are you? Everyone's waiting. I frowned. Waiting for what? Family dinner? Mom's birthday? Hello? My stomach dropped. I'd completely forgotten. I'm sorry, I got caught up at work. I'll be there as soon as I can. I rushed across town, mentally kicking myself. No matter how I felt about my parents' favoritism, forgetting my mother's birthday made me no better. When I arrived, dinner was already served. My father glared at me. Melissa looked smugly satisfied. My mother's expression was resigned, as if my absence had been expected. "Sorry I'm late," I said, sliding into the empty chair. "Work was intense today." "Must be nice to have such an important job," Melissa said with a smirk. "James got offered a summer position too, at Northwestern Memorial." "That's wonderful," I said, genuinely meaning it. No point in perpetuating the competition. "How are you liking it, James?" James launched into a description of his internship while I tried to catch my mother's eye to silently apologize. She determinedly avoided my gaze. Later, as I helped clear the table, my mother finally addressed me directly. "You missed the cake." "I'm really sorry, Mom. I lost track of time." She sighed. "You always have an excuse, Emma. Your work, your studies, something's always more important than family." The irony nearly made me laugh. "I've been trying to get your attention with my accomplishments my entire life." "That's not fair. We've supported you in everything." "Have you? When's the last time you asked me about my research? Or remembered something important to me?" She flushed. "We're proud of you, Emma. You've always been so capable. You don't need our praise like Melissa does. Everyone needs to feel valued, Mom. Even me." We were interrupted by my father calling for more coffee. The moment passed, unresolved as always. As I was leaving, Dr. Keller called. "Emma, are you free tomorrow evening? The director wants to meet you. Your presentation made quite an impression." I glanced back at my family gathered in the living room, laughing at something James had said. "Yes," I said. "I'm completely free." The director of Horizon Medical Research, Dr. Eleanor Hughes, was a legend in the field. Meeting her in person, in her private office, no less, made my palms sweat. "Dr. Keller speaks very highly of you," she said, studying me with sharp blue eyes. "She says you have an intuitive understanding of cellular biology that can't be taught." "That's very kind of her." "Sarah doesn't do kind. She does accurate." Dr. Hughes leaned forward. "We're assembling a special team for a new project. Highly classified, potentially groundbreaking. We want you on it." I blinked. "Me? But I'm just a summer intern. Titles are irrelevant. Capability is everything." She smiled. "The position would continue part-time when you start at Stanford in the fall, with full-time breaks and summers. Interested?" "Absolutely," I breathed. "What's the project?" She pushed a folder across her desk. "Read this first. We meet tomorrow at 8 a.m. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I opened the folder with trembling hands. The project was audacious, developing a cellular therapy that could potentially reverse neurodegenerative diseases. If successful, it would change countless lives, and they wanted me involved. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "Melissa and James just announced they're moving in together. We're taking them furniture shopping this weekend." So happy for them, I set my phone down without replying and returned to the research papers. For once, I didn't feel the familiar sting of exclusion. I was too preoccupied with possibility. Summer passed in a blur of research, breakthroughs, and setbacks. The special project team became my second family, brilliant minds united by common purpose. Dr. Park evolved from intimidating mentor to trusted colleague. Dr. Keller pushed me relentlessly but celebrated my successes with genuine enthusiasm. I still went to Sunday family dinners occasionally, but the dynamics had subtly shifted. My parents' approval no longer seemed so vital. When they talked over my research stories to gush about Melissa's new apartment or James's medical school applications, I found I didn't mind as much. One evening in August, just before I was set to leave for Stanford, Dr. Hughes called the team together. "The initial results are promising enough to move to the next phase," she announced. "I've secured additional funding based on your extraordinary work." Her eyes met mine. Emma's insight regarding the protein delivery mechanism was particularly crucial. "The board has approved a named research position for you when you graduate." Applause erupted around me. Dr. Park clapped me on the shoulder. Dr. Keller actually hugged me that night. I called my parents, buzzing with excitement. Dr. Hughes offered me a named position after graduation, I blurted as soon as my mother answered. It's basically unheard of for someone my age. That's nice, dear, she said. Did you get the invitation to Melissa's housewarming party? It's the weekend after you start at Stanford, but we thought maybe you could fly back. I closed my eyes, counting to 10. I don't think I can make it, Mom. The first weeks are critical. Melissa will be so disappointed. She really wants you there. I'll send a gift, I promised, then added, did you hear what I said about the research position? Yes, of course. Some sort of internship continuation? That's wonderful. Her voice brightened. Oh, did I tell you James got accepted to do a rotation in the cardiology department? They only take the top students. That's great, I said mechanically. I have to go, Mom. Early morning tomorrow. After we hung up, I stared at my reflection in the window. I'd hoped, foolishly perhaps, that my achievements at Horizon might finally earn their recognition. That Dr. Hughes's approval might somehow translate into my parents' pride. It was time to accept the truth. That validation would never come. The night before I left for Stanford, Dr. Keller invited me to dinner at her home, a beautiful brownstone overlooking the park. I wanted to thank you properly, she said as we sat on her patio, drinking wine. Your contribution this summer has been invaluable. I should be thanking you, I insisted. You gave me this opportunity. You earned it. She studied me thoughtfully. May I ask you something personal? I nodded. When we first met, you seemed surprised by recognition. Almost uncomfortable with praise. Why is that? The wine, the starry night, the genuine interest in her eyes, it all loosened something inside me. I told her about growing up in Melissa's shadow, about the Stanford scholarship that barely registered while Melissa's B- earned a celebration. My parents aren't bad people, I finished. They just never saw me the way they saw her. Dr. Keller was quiet for a long moment. My mother was the same, she finally said. My brother was her favorite, quite openly. Nothing I achieved ever quite measured up. I stared at her, this brilliant, accomplished woman. How did you deal with it? Poorly, at first. I worked myself to exhaustion trying to earn her approval. She smiled ruefully. Eventually, I realized I was looking for validation in the wrong place. Some people, even parents, are incapable of giving what we need. So what did you do? I built a life filled with people who could see me clearly. Mentors. Colleagues. Friends who valued what I had to offer. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You've already started doing the same. Stanford was everything I'd hoped, challenging, stimulating, full of like-minded people. I divided my time between classes and remote work for the Horizon project, occasionally flying back to Chicago for critical experiments. My parents rarely called, but Dr. Keller checked in weekly. Dr. Park sent journal articles with notes like "thought you'd find this relevant" or "your approach was better." Dr. Hughes invited me to co-author a paper based on our summer findings. At Thanksgiving, I flew home, bracing myself for the usual family dynamics. My parents' house was decorated with photos of Melissa and James prominently displayed. My graduation photo remained where it had always been, partially hidden behind a decorative vase. Emma. You made it. Melissa greeted me at the door, pulling me into a hug that smelled of expensive perfume. James got invited to present at a medical conference. Isn't that amazing? Absolutely, I said, smiling genuinely. My sister's enthusiasm was actually endearing when I no longer saw her as my competition. Congratulations, James. Dinner was predictable, my parents fawning over Melissa and James while periodically remembering to ask me surface questions about Stanford. I answered politely, no longer feeling the need to impress them with details about my research or the recognition I'd received. As dessert was served, my phone buzzed. A text from Dr. Keller, just heard from the patent office. Your delivery mechanism has been approved. Congratulations, co-inventor. I stared at the screen, a slow smile spreading across my face. Good news? My father asked, noticing my expression. Yes, I said simply. A patent I worked on was approved. A patent? Melissa looked confused. For what? For once, I didn't downplay my accomplishment. For a drug delivery system I designed. If it works as we hope, it could revolutionize treatment for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Silence fell around the table. You invented something that could help Alzheimer's patients? My mother finally asked. As part of a team, yes. Why didn't you tell us you were working on something so important? My father demanded. I met his gaze steadily. I've been telling you about my research for months. You weren't interested. More silence. Well, my mother said awkwardly, we're very proud of you, Emma. The words I'd longed to hear for years. And yet, they felt hollow now, coming too late and prompted by external validation rather than genuine understanding of who I was. Thank you, I said politely, then turned to James. Tell me more about your conference presentation. The following spring, our research team achieved a breakthrough that made headlines. The cellular therapy showed remarkable results in animal trials, reversing symptoms of neurodegenerative disease with minimal side effects. Dr. Hughes called a press conference. To my shock, she insisted I stand beside her at the podium. This breakthrough would not have been possible without the innovative approach developed by Emma Chen, she told the room full of reporters. Her insight was the key that unlocked everything else. Cameras flashed. Questions came rapid fire. I answered as best I could, supported by Dr. Hughes's steady presence beside me. Afterward, my phone exploded with notifications. Friends from Stanford. Colleagues from Horizon. And finally, a text from my mother, we just saw you on CNN. Everyone's calling us. Why didn't you tell us you were going to be on television? I smiled wryly at the screen but didn't respond immediately. Instead, I joined the team celebration, surrounded by people who had believed in me from the beginning. Later that night, I called my parents. Emma, my mother answered breathlessly. You're famous. Our neighbors keep calling. Mrs. Wilson says her sister has Parkinson's and wants to know if she can get the treatment. It's still in development, I explained. Human trials won't start for at least a year. But you'll make sure Mrs. Wilson's sister gets it, right? We've known them forever. I sighed. That's not how clinical trials work, Mom. Well, your name is on it. Surely you have some influence. She paused. We're so proud of you, sweetie. Your father wants to have a special dinner when you're home next. We'll invite everyone. I thought about Dr. Keller's words about looking for validation in the wrong places. About building a life with people who could see me clearly. That sounds nice, I said noncommittally. I need to go. We have an early meeting tomorrow. Of course, of course. You're so important now. I could hear the smile in her voice. Oh, before you go, Melissa and James set a wedding date. June next year. You'll be a bridesmaid, of course. I'd be honored, I said, and meant it. Whatever our past, Melissa was still my sister. After we hung up, I texted Dr. Keller, thank you for everything. Not just the professional opportunities, for seeing what I could be before I saw it myself. Her reply came quickly, that's what family does. See you tomorrow, colleague. The human trials began the following year, just weeks before Melissa's wedding. I flew home early to help with preparations, bringing with me advance copies of a major scientific journal featuring our research on the cover. My parents' house had changed. Photos of me now occupied prominent places, newspaper clippings, the CNN interview, a framed copy of the patent certificate. We're so proud of you, Emma, my mother said, following my gaze to the display. We always knew you'd do something special. I bit back the urge to remind her of all the years of indifference. It wouldn't change anything. Instead, I handed her a copy of the journal. I brought this for you. Our official publication. She took it reverently, running her fingers over my name listed among the lead researchers. My brilliant daughter. The wedding was beautiful. Melissa was radiant, James looked suitably besotted, and my parents glowed with pride. After the ceremony, at the reception, I found myself seated at the family table, surrounded by relatives. "Tell us about your research, Emma," my aunt urged. "Is it true what they're saying? That it could cure Alzheimer's?" Before I could answer, my mother jumped in. "Emma's work is revolutionary. She's the lead scientist. Her boss says she's the most brilliant mind they've ever had." I blinked in surprise. None of that was actually true. "Mom," I said gently, "I'm part of a team. A brilliant team. And Dr. Hughes is the lead scientist, not me." "Don't be modest," my father boomed. "Our Emma's a genius. Always has been. We knew it from the start." I caught Melissa's eye across the table. She gave me a small, knowing smile and a tiny eye roll. For the first time, I felt a flash of real connection with my sister, both of us seeing our parents clearly later. As the dancing started, Melissa found me at the bar. "Quite a turnaround, huh?" She nodded toward our parents, who were proudly telling some distant relatives about Emma's cure. "It's bizarre," I admitted. "Suddenly I'm the golden child." She laughed. "Enjoy it while it lasts. It's exhausting being the favorite." She hesitated, then added, "I'm sorry, you know. For all those years. I knew they treated us differently. It wasn't your fault." I could have said something. Should have. She looked at me seriously. "Your work, it really is amazing, Emma. I've always been intimidated by how smart you are." I stared at her, stunned. "You were intimidated by me? But you had everything. Their attention, their praise, their time. And you had their respect." She shrugged. "They expected me to be pretty and pleasant. They expected you to be extraordinary." Before I could respond, my phone rang. "Dr. Hughes." "Emma? We've got the first results from the Chicago trial group. You need to see this." My heart raced. Good news or bad? Beyond our most optimistic projections. "The cellular regeneration is happening exactly as you predicted. Get to a computer. I'm sending the data now." I looked at Melissa apologetically. "I have to go. Work emergency." She smiled. "Go. Be brilliant. It's what you do best." In my old bedroom, I opened my laptop with trembling hands. The data was incredible, clear evidence of neural pathway restoration in patients who had been rapidly declining. Tears filled my eyes. This wasn't just research anymore. These were real people with real hope for the first time. My phone buzzed again. A text from Dr. Keller, "We did it." "You did it," another message followed immediately. "The whole team is gathering at Horizon to celebrate. We miss our key player. Any chance you can catch a late flight?" I glanced around my childhood bedroom, at the wedding festivities continuing below, at my parents who were finally, belatedly proud. Then I looked back at the data, at the lives we were changing, and at the messages from people who had valued me from the start. The choice was easy. "Booking a flight now," I texted back. "My real family is waiting." My life now divides neatly into before and after. Before Horizon, when I measured my worth through my parents' eyes, and after, when I learned to see myself through my own. The therapy moved from trials to approved treatment within 3 years, record time, given the remarkable results. Dr. Hughes insisted my name be prominently featured in all the official documentation. Dr. Park and I now co-lead our own research team, developing new applications for the technology. Dr. Keller became my mentor, my friend, and eventually, a surrogate parent. She hosted Thanksgiving when I couldn't make it home. She attended my Stanford graduation and cheered louder than anyone when I received my diploma. My relationship with my parents improved, ironically, once I stopped needing their approval. We established new boundaries. I visited on my terms. When they slipped into old patterns, comparing me to Melissa or suddenly claiming credit for my success, I gently but firmly redirected the conversation. I'm sorry you couldn't make it to the award ceremony, my mother said during one visit, her tone slightly accusatory. Everyone was asking about you. I was in Switzerland, presenting our findings to the WHO, I reminded her. I sent you the link to watch online. It's not the same as being there in person, she sighed. No, I agreed. It's not. Just like you couldn't be at my Stanford graduation in person. She had the grace to look embarrassed. We had Melissa's baby shower that weekend. You know that. I do know. And I understood. I smiled gently. Just as I hope you understand that my work takes me places sometimes. It doesn't mean I don't care. Slowly, we reached a new equilibrium, not perfect, but better. They learned to see me as I am, not as they wished me to be. I learned to accept their limitations while appreciating their efforts to change. Last month, Dr. Hughes announced her retirement. To everyone's shock, she named me as her successor to lead Horizon Medical Research. You've earned this, she told me privately. Not because you needed it, but because you stopped needing external validation long enough to trust your own instincts. That's what makes a true leader. The announcement made national news. Congratulatory messages poured in, including a surprisingly heartfelt one from my father. We always knew you were destined for greatness, Emma. No parent could be prouder. I smiled at the message but set my phone aside to focus on the celebration dinner Dr. Keller had arranged, surrounded by colleagues who had become friends, mentors who had become family, and a life I had built myself, piece by piece. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I looked at the framed photo on my desk, the special project team from that first summer at Horizon. There I was, standing nervously between Dr. Park and Dr. Keller, looking simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. That was the moment everything changed, when I first experienced what it felt like to be someone's priority, not because I was perfect. Not because I was the favorite. But because I was valued for exactly who I was. I picked up my phone and texted my mother, "Thank you for letting me find my own way. I know it wasn't the path you would have chosen for me, but it's exactly where I belong." Her reply came quickly, "We're learning too, Emma. Late, perhaps, but learning. Progress, like cellular regeneration, happens slowly, one connection at a time, rebuilding what was damaged, creating new pathways forward. The scars remain, but they no longer define the whole. I am enough. I always was. I just needed to find the people who could see it." The end. If you liked the story, subscribe to our channel and share your impressions in the comments. We try to post new stories every day.